Hey, this is Adam back with another Wonder Why. Let's get it. You work hard, you show up, you maybe even got a raise this year, and yet, somehow, you feel like you're falling further behind. Meanwhile, somewhere out there, a person who already had money didn't obviously work harder than you, didn't invent anything, didn't cure a disease, and just got dramatically richer while napping in a hammock. So, what's the actual trick? Why does money seem to gravitate toward people who already have money, like some kind of financial law of gravity? Is the game rigged? Is it just math? Or is it a little bit of both? Spoiler, it's mostly one sneaky idea nobody teaches you in school. Okay, here's the idea the whole thing rests on. There are really only two ways to make money in this world, and almost everyone only ever uses the first one. Way number one, you trade your time for money, a job, a wage, a salary. You show up, you do the thing, you get paid. It's honest. It's how most of the planet survives, but it has one brutal ceiling. There are only 24 hours in a day. Your time is capped, so your income is too. Way number two, you get your money to make money. You own things that grow in value or pay you while you sleep, a slice of a business, property, investments. This income has no ceiling because your dollars can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they never get tired, never take a sick day, and never ask for a raise. And here's the quiet truth at the center of getting rich: the wealthy aren't necessarily working harder than you. They've just quietly moved from door one to door two. They stopped trading only their time and started sending their money out to work the night shift. But Door 2 has a secret engine inside it, a force so quietly powerful that one very smart physicist supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world: compound interest. Here's the magic. When your money earns a return, that return gets added to your pile, and then next time you earn a return on the bigger pile, including on the earnings you already made. You start earning money on your money's money. It's a snowball, and the longer it rolls, the more insane it gets. Want a taste of how crazy? Imagine a single penny that doubles every day. Day one, 1 cent. Day 10, about $5. Sounds cute, but keep going. By day 30, that one penny has quietly turned into over $5 million. Same boring rule. One more week of patience. That's compounding, and it absolutely laughs at your intuition. And this is why the rich guard one resource above all others: time. Because compounding isn't a straight line, it's a curve that goes gently, 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 and then explodes. The person who starts early with a little can end up miles ahead of the person who starts late with a lot. Time in the game beats the size of the bet. The catch? For most of that curve, it looks like nothing is happening, which is exactly why most people give up before the fun part. Compounding is thrilling in year 30 and mind-numbingly dull in year 1. So if compounding is the engine, what do you actually feed it? This is where the real gap opens up, and it comes down to one word: assets. Your wage is money that shows up once and then immediately starts losing value because prices creep up every year. That's inflation quietly eating your cash while it sits still. A dollar in your pocket is a melting ice cube. An asset, though, is different. It's something that tends to grow in value over time and can pay you while you own it. A piece of a company, property, a business. Assets are ice makers, not ice cubes. And here's the part that quietly decides everything. Rich people hold most of their wealth in assets. Regular people hold most of theirs in wages and cash. Think about a house. The family that owns theirs watches its value drift upward for decades, basically for free, just for living there. The family that rents pays every single month for the same roof and owns nothing at the end of it. Same house, same street. One is quietly building wealth by sleeping in it. The other is quietly funding somebody else's. That's the entire asset gap playing out on a single street. So picture it. One group's money is on the escalator, riding up automatically, compounding while they sleep. The other group is on the staircase, climbing hard, while inflation greases the steps behind them. Same economy, wildly different rides. Multiply that gap over decades, and you don't get a small difference. You get a canyon. Now, here's where a lot of people's jaws hit the floor because you'd assume the system taxes everyone's income the same way. It does not. In a lot of places, the money you earn from working gets taxed at a higher rate than the money you earn from owning, up to around 37% on the money you sweat for versus about 20% on the money your money makes. Sweat is taxed harder than assets, so the exact income the wealthy rely on most often gets the friendliest treatment. Read that twice because it explains a lot. And it gets wilder. If you own an asset that's grown in value, but you don't sell it, in many systems you don't owe tax on that growth at all, not until you sell. So the ultra wealthy often just don't sell. They let it grow untaxed for decades, which leads to a strategy so cheeky it has a nickname: buy, borrow, die. Buy assets that grow, borrow against them to get spending money, and borrowed money generally isn't taxed as income. Then, when you pass the assets on to your heirs, the built-up gains can get wiped clean for tax purposes. Buy, borrow, die. Congratulations, you've legally funded a lifestyle and barely paid tax on a fortune. The rest of us, meanwhile, get taxed the second our paycheck clears. Neat. Quick pause. If your brain is quietly rearranging how money actually works right now, do me a favor and hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who were also never taught any of this. It's free, which at this point in the video feels almost suspicious. Okay, back to it. So if the answer is just own assets and let them compound, why doesn't everyone simply do that? Because, and this is the genuinely unfair part, you usually need money to make money. And the first chunk is the hardest. In fact, it's often more expensive to be poor when you don't have a cushion. You pay overdraft fees, you borrow at brutal interest rates, you can't buy in bulk, you can't wait for the sale. Economists literally call it the poverty premium. Life quietly charges you extra for not already having money, which makes it even harder to save the money you'd need to escape. It's the cruelest math in the whole system. The less you have, the more everything costs, which leaves you with even less to get ahead. A treadmill with someone sneaking up and turning the speed dial. And then there's access. The wealthy get shown the best deals, the lowest fees, the private opportunities, the good advice. Money, it turns out, is a members-only club where the entry fee is already having money. So the snowball we talked about, the rich get to start theirs at the top of the hill. Everyone else has to first build the snowball by hand in the cold, while the poverty premium keeps melting it. That's the part that isn't your fault. Getting the first bit of capital is genuinely the hardest step, and the system is not exactly rooting for you to do it. Now, here's the honest part. Now, because this is where people usually reach for a villain. It's tempting to imagine a secret room of billionaires plotting to keep you down. But the slightly more boring and more useful truth is that most of this isn't a conspiracy. It's mechanics. Compounding plus assets, plus a tax system built to favor owning over working. No cackling required, but, and this matters, not a conspiracy doesn't mean not real. The gap is genuinely widening and fast. In one recent year, the wealth of the very richest grew several times faster than usual, with a handful of people adding hundreds of billions between them. Around 900 billionaires, up roughly 25% in a single year. Meanwhile, wages crawled and rent didn't. So no, you're not imagining it. The escalator really is pulling away. Here's the genuinely empowering flip side, though, and I'm going to be careful here because this is a curiosity channel, not financial advice. The same math the wealthy use isn't secret or illegal or reserved for them. Compounding doesn't check your bank balance before it works. The single biggest lever most people never pull is simply owning something that grows, however small, as early as possible, and giving it time. Moving even 1 foot from door 1 toward door 2. It won't make you a billionaire by Friday. But the mechanism that quietly built those fortunes is the same one available to a person putting away a little, early, and refusing to touch it. You don't need a fortune to start the engine. You need a spark, some patience, and the willingness to be spectacularly boring about it for a very long time. The wealthy didn't find a secret cheat code. They just started the same boring engine earlier, fed it more, and had the luxury of leaving it completely alone. The hard part was never understanding it, it's starting it, and then being patient enough to be bored for a decade. So let's go back to that unfair feeling image. You, working hard, running in place, them in the hammock, getting richer in their sleep. The difference, it turns out, was never really about effort. It was about which door their money walked through. The rich didn't necessarily outwork you, they got their money to work for them quietly, tax efficiently, compounding while they did literally anything else. The uncomfortable and weirdly hopeful takeaway is that the game isn't mostly about how hard you can earn. It's about how much of what you earn you can turn into something that earns for you. So here's my question for you. If you'd been taught this stuff at, say, 15 instead of never, what's the one thing you'd have done differently? Drop it in the comments. I really want to know. And so does everyone else scrolling past who also never got the memo. And if this finally made the rich get richer thing actually make sense, do me one last favor. Hit like and subscribe because understanding the game is the cheapest possible first step to playing it a little better. Thanks for watching.